Welcome back to my channel. Subscribe if you want to join the party. Follow me over on Instagram at EMWILSS. In my recent Q&A, I said I should probably make a video on things I wish I had known about motherhood. And you were like, yes, yes, yes. So here I am making that video. First things first, I know there are gentlemen who watch my channel. God love ya. This video will be way too TMI for you. It's not that I don't, appreciate that you're here. I just don't want to scar you for life. That's first. Second, this video is sponsored by Audible. I'll tell you why in a little bit. And third, in 2019, I have to make this disclaimer and to say this. Those of you who have been here a long time, you get my heart. And you know that when I share my experience, I'm not trying to put other women down. I'm not trying to make other women feel bad. I'm not trying to make other women feel sad or insecure or anything like that. This video is me sharing my own experience, and that's it. I'm not trying to act like I'm better. I'm going to say in this video, breastfeeding was not that hard for me. I want you to understand that I'm not saying I'm better than women who had a really hard time with it, or that, women who use formula are not great or doing the best for their baby. No, when I say breastfeeding was not that hard for me, that is all that means. Cool? Cool. I'm also going to say things like, wow, being a mom is really hard. And I do not discount the fact that it's a beautiful and something I'm so grateful for to have a healthy baby. There are women in my life very close to me who struggle with infertility. And when I say being a mom is so hard, it doesn't mean that I'm not grateful to be a mom. It doesn't mean that I'm not grateful for the beauty that is my son, but it is okay to say, this is really, really hard. And I don't want that to come off as insensitive to women who are struggling with infertility, women who would give anything to have a sweet, healthy baby like I do. Again, women who I love so very much carry the cross currently of infertility. And when I say being a mom is tough, I'm only and simply speaking to my experience, not complaining, not being ungrateful, but stating a fact that I have found in my own life. I just want to share my heart and share my experience. So here we go. Things I wish I had known about motherhood. Let's just start with the nitty gritty, okay? Let's just get this out of the way. I had a C-section. A lot of you know that. I didn't realize the bleeding that would happen, okay? So I thought when I had a C-section, I don't know, in my head I thought like maybe he would like take everything out, but the only thing he's able to take out is the baby and the placenta, and there's all this like tissue and all kinds of stuff that needs to come out of your body still. Again, we're just getting this out of the way because I didn't know this and I wish that I had. After my C-section, I bled like a period for about 8 weeks. And I had no idea that that was gonna happen. And I had no idea that it would go on for that long. I guess I didn't think about it. But even with a C-section, that happens. I wish I had known that because I was really caught off guard and I was like, oh my gosh, when is the bleeding gonna stop? Because it felt like, and it did, go on for a very, very long time. The second thing, I'll just get these bodily things out of the way first, was the leaking. I had no idea about the leaking. So I still nurse Zion. Zion is 10 months old. Our breastfeeding relationship has been wonderful and I'll get to that in a little while. I had no idea that you had, I'm gonna show these to you because I didn't know about these pads that you have to put in your bra. And when my sister lovingly gifted me a breastfeeding care package before I had Zion, and I just didn't know about these. And I thought, okay, maybe this will be a couple of weeks. I leaked for 7 months straight. I had to wear these in my bra for 7 months. And I had no idea that that was gonna happen. And that for some women who are breastfeeding, it goes for a short while, and for some women they have to wear pads. They have reusable ones and disposable ones for the entirety of the time that they nurse their babies. I didn't know. So I had to make sure all summer long when I'm standing on stages that I'm not leaking through my clothes and that I'm fully prepared with dry ones of these so that I'm not leaking all over the place and leaking through my clothes, because there have been many times where I leaked through my clothes. Thank God it wasn't on a stage in front of 2,000 people. But that was something I had no idea about, that it could go on for that long. Really shocked me. That's just different for everyone based on what you choose and how you choose to feed your baby, but that's just what my body did, and I just wish I had known that that was the thing. The next thing that I wish I had known about was the difference between the life change that would happen to me and the life change that would happen to Daniel. The difference is insane. especially in the first year of the baby's life. This was very painful, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was very stunning to me how different my life was and how like much the same Daniel's life was before he became a father, before Zion was born and after Zion was born. Daniel's body didn't change one bit. My body has changed so much. It housed a person. I gained all this weight and then I've lost all that weight. I didn't fit into my pre-pregnancy jeans for like 5 or 6 months, until 5 or 6 months after Zion was born. My body has gone through so many changes. My hormones have gone through so many changes all over the place. And Daniel's body has been the exact same. His hormones haven't been all over the place. He hasn't had any of those different things. The loss of freedom that I've experienced as mom has also been in stark contrast to the freedom that Daniel has lost, right? I'm not saying he doesn't care about Zion. He is 1000% the most attentive, loving father. Don't get me wrong there. I am saying that for me, because I am nursing Zion, I can't just, go on a business trip. I can't say, oh, I got to go on this business trip for 3 days and just go. And as a father, Daniel is just able to do that, to say, I got to go to this meeting in this place and not take 90 zillion steps to make sure there's enough milk for Zion, that, whatever it is, I'm not just able to just pick up and go in the same way that a father is able to just pick up and go. And that was like, wow, my life is so different, right? I'm home and if I want to go out with Zion during the day, right, when I'm not on the road, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and like going out and doing different kinds of things is a big to do, right? Getting the baby ready, making sure I have all the stuff. And Daniel goes to the same job that he did before Zion was born. He sees the same people. He does the same work. He kind of has that life at work. And I'm here, totally figuring out life with a baby at home. Again, not in a bad way, not in a way to say, oh, my life is so hard to compare to my husband's. It's just really, really different compared to his. I was just totally unaware of the magnitude of the difference of life change that we would have, especially in the first year. Next, I wish I had known about all the time I would have to spend sitting around in the first few months of Zion's life. And this is where, during that time, I wish I would have been subscribed to Audible. And this is something I would have loved during that time, but I know about now and want to share with you now. Audible has the world's largest selection of audiobooks and entertainment. With the Audible app, you can listen anytime. You are on your commute, you are at the gym, you can listen anytime to a huge library of audiobooks. Audible members get more than ever before. Every month you can choose one audiobook regardless of price and 2 Audible originals from a fresh selection. And guess whose book is on Audible? Mine. You can get Go Bravely on Audible, which I think is so fun and so exciting. You can also easily exchange titles that you do not love at any time. This is something I wish I would have had. I sat around so much and I would have loved to listen to audiobooks and just have that, to be listening to stories and listening to these audiobooks that I wasn't able to just hold and look at. I would have loved to be able to listen while I'm feeding Zion or whatever that might be, because I had so much time. I would have spent my time in a more constructive way. Rather than watching TV, rather than scrolling through social media, I could have used Audible, and that would have been a lot better use of my time. You can start listening with a 30-day Audible trial and choose 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals absolutely free. Visit audible.com/Emily W and get started today and start listening and start enriching your mind. You can start with Go Bravely. You can start that today. You can listen to that audiobook today. I would love for you to listen to it. The next thing I wish I would have known, I was terrified of breastfeeding, and I wish I would have known that breastfeeding isn't horribly painful, awful, terrible for everyone. Everyone's experience is different. And some moms choose not to breastfeed and some do. For me, in the beginning, it was difficult. We had to kind of figure out a way to get Zion to latch, and we had a little dropper, and Daniel would get milk and he would drop it in Zion's mouth so he knew what was happening and he would latch on. Once we got that going, our breastfeeding relationship has been very, very smooth, and might I say even very, very easy. I've had a lot of milk and that's been really, really great, but I was so afraid in the beginning because I've heard a lot lot about women who have struggled with all different kinds of things that can come along with breastfeeding, mastitis and clogged ducts and all different kinds of things. And people talked about like cracked nipples and bleeding nipples, and I never had anything like that. And I just wish I would have known, because I think that it's important to be prepared for all aspects of a breastfeeding relationship, even the reality that breastfeeding might not work for you and your baby for the many, many different reasons that it might not work. But I wish I had known that it's not, cracked nipples, bleeding everything, all different kinds of problems for everybody, because it wasn't like that for me. And I've had friends who have had a very, very difficult journey with breastfeeding, and I also had friends who after said, breastfeeding for me wasn't that hard. And I wish I would have known that every woman's experience is different, and some women have very positive, easy relationships, and some women really, really, really have a painful time and a difficult time. Again, it's different for everyone, and it's different for every baby. If I have another baby, it might not be that way, and I'm totally prepared for that. Again, dare you say I'm saying I'm better than women who don't breastfeed? That's not true. Don't even go there. The last thing I wish I had known in our little girl chat here is that sometimes you just get a baby who's not a great sleeper. And it just happens. And it can be brutal, right? Sleep with Zion, I shared about it in my Get Ready With Me video, has been challenging. He just likes to play, and he just wants to be up in the night snuggling with me, and part of me loves that, and part of me is like, let me sleep, son. It's been really hard, and there's been so many instances where I have been tempted to feel like I'm a failure because my son doesn't sleep like other women who are like, oh, by 9 weeks my son was sleeping through the night, and I'm like, yeah, my son is 10 months and he still doesn't sleep through the night. Again, no advice, please. It gets so old, but so true when you're expecting your baby and people are like, get your sleep in now, right? And you're like, ha ha, you're the 4,400th person who's told me that. Like, you can't store up on sleep, but the reality is that sometimes your child is just a bad sleeper. And I have friends, who've been amazing, who said, we tried everything and our child is still 2.5 years old, still getting up in the night. And sometimes your baby's just a bad sleeper and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's no reflection on you as a parent, as a mother, because a lot of times I've been tempted to be like, oh my gosh, like I'm a failure because my son at 12 weeks was not sleeping through the night. I'm a failure because because the 4-month sleep regression was so brutal for us. I am not a failure. Sometimes your baby is just a bad sleeper, and it's really important to understand that. The last thing I wish I had known about motherhood is that some seasons are easier for some moms and much harder for other moms. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on me as a mom, but it also depends on your baby and your baby's temperament. The newborn stage for us, oh my gosh, what a breeze. It was so great and it was so easy. And I thought like, wow, oh my gosh, everyone says being a mom is so hard, but like this is so great. And as Zion has gotten more mobile and like trying to figure out solids, that's been really, really hard for me to keep up with his changes. Like, oh my gosh, there's some days where I'm like, I feel like I'm doing a great job. And then there's some days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. And that's another thing about motherhood that I wish I had known, that each day you're gonna feel different. But there's some people who like the newborn stage is a nightmare for them and they just hate it. I have one friend, she's like, when my children are newborns, I just don't love it at all because it's so hard for her when they're newborns. For me, that was really easy. And each woman, each stage is so different with each mom and each child. What people say about this or that stage, oh, this stage is so great or this stage is so hard, might not be true for you if you have children. I have learned that very much throughout the last almost year. Zion's almost a year old. I have learned that a lot. Obviously, there's been thousands of surprises that I'm glad no one told me about, like the sweet little moments that Zion and I share when he puts his little arms around my neck and just like plays with my hair. Like there's been 1,000 things that nobody told me about how sweet it could be to be a mom and how beautiful it could be to be a mom. And those have been amazingly wonderful surprises, right? People say it's so great and it's so beautiful, and that is so true that it is, but all these sweet little things, this language that Zion and I speak with one another, with me as his mom, just knowing him better than anybody on the face of the planet, this little language that we have of me knowing his needs before he can communicate them to me, or when he communicates to me and I know what he wants or what he needs, like It's so sweet and it's so beautiful and so amazing. And there's been so many good and beautiful surprises. So that's what I wish I would have known. For those of you struggling with infertility, my prayer for you today is that God would give you peace in your heart on your journey, and that God would give you a beautiful, healthy baby, whatever avenue that might be in. And thanks to Audible for sponsoring this video. You can click that link below to start your free 30-day trial, audible.com/EmilyW. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you soon.